Hello, my name's Daniel from CG Dreams, and today we're going to be looking at the Spline Deformer within Modo. The first thing is to obviously have your geometry, and I've got the geometry here and it's a simple cylinder. The cylinder is the default size added by Modo, holding down the shift key and clicking on this in the modelling tab or the basic modelling tab. Now you notice that I've got the dimensions shown here. The dimensions are added by selecting the geometry and going to the bottom right where you see the display tab. You can just simply remove or add the dimensions. This does help to set up the initial spline deformer so it's got the correct spline length. Now that we've done this, we can go to the setup tab, and with the mesh selected we can go to the deformers and then select our spline deformer. The Spline Deformer will give us some options, and the ones that we're really interested in is really use the mesh as a startup and the number of spline points. These are control points that are going to enable us to deform the object. If you leave it to 0, you'll find that you'll get no spline points to adjust, obviously because you've got 0 in there. In this particular case I want 3. Now the next step is the axis. The axis into which you want to deform your object. Now because my object is upright, it's pointing up in the length of the y-axis. If it may be laying down like a snake, it may be along the x or the z-axis. So my particular case is y, and that's fine. Now the length, this is where you can use the dimensions tool, and I've just put the length in here of 36 inches in this particular case, but you can look at your dimensions and add this. So when you've done this, you click OK. Now you'll notice right away that we've got the 3 locators. These locators are what we're going to be deforming to get our spline deformer working. You can select any of these deformers and press the W key to transform, and you can see that we've instantly got some deformation going on. You can do this with any of the locators. You can move them into any place. Now it may be the case that you have set the length wrong, and this is remedied quite easily by simply going into this setup tab you can see here for characters mainly. As you can see, this character icon, but this allows you to move these locators into a better position. So I'm going to just view it from a right perspective, or front, control spacebar, and I'm going to just view it from the front. That'll be fine. And then I'm just going to move these locators one at a time into the place that I want them. So one at the top, one at the bottom, and the one in the middle is absolutely fine. Now I've moved the one at the top, you can see here, the bottom and the top, and you notice that in the transform position it's obviously give us our new position. Now this is the point where you want to select both of these and you want to make sure that they are zeroed off, and I'm just clicking on 0, click on all. What this does is enables you to revert back to the original position, i.e. the way it is now, should you want to undo your deformations. So now we've done this, I'm going to come out this setup here, and now we can start to manipulate our deformers, or shall I say our locators. So I'm going to move the locator, you can see here, and it's deforming. And again, I may want to go back to how it was originally. This is where I can go to the reset and then reset all, and it goes back to where it was. And this is the only able to happen if you had to have moved these deformers out of their original location when we was in setup. You can see here that I actually put it to 0 while in setup. This enables you to reset it to this position again. So what can you do with this deformer? Well, it's really good, because obviously it doesn't only deform, but it allows you to animate that deformation, which of course is why we want to use the deformer in most cases. So how do we get access to these setups or these particular settings? Well, whenever we've selected this spline, you can see here all these locators here, you can see that this spline effector is showing here. So we can select this spline effector, and we've got some settings that we can mess around with. The primary settings that we really need to be accessing really here for simplicity is the elastic and slide. So what we can do here is we can use the elastic, you can see here, and I'm just going to deform this a little bit here. so we can demonstrate this. I'm going to select this locator, move its position, and the middle one's fine. I'm just going to move this one. Okay, so I've just created a deformation there. Now we can go to our spline effector and then use this elastic and watch what happens. It literally shrinks it and then moves it up through the spline. You can also take it beyond its normal size, so you can stretch it along there. So this is quite handy for animation, obviously. The other thing that you can do is you can use the slide, which rather than stretching it along the spline, you can actually move it along the spline. So we're going to slide this. You can see this is going along there. That's quite handy if you want to have something following a curve. Now there are additional settings here, the curve source and the target curve. I'm not going to go into this today, but what you can do is you can actually set it up for a different curve of the one that you're actually using at the moment. But this basically gives you the basic setup that you need in order to get this spline effector working.